Welcome to Salcedo Paranormal. It is Sunday, January 1st, 2023. And tonight I'll be sharing true paranormal stories from the web. As always, you can find all the links to the episodes of the show, along with links to social media and other ways to contact me at the podcast page, and that is salcidoparanormal.podbean.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.podbean.com. Always happy to hear from you all, whether you have comments or questions or topic suggestions or stories of true paranormal experiences, whether they're your own or from others that you trust. Happy to either read those or have you join me on the show to talk about them. And just in case anyone has noticed a difference in the way this sounds today, I am using a different microphone that I just recently got for Christmas, actually. And I'm just determining if I'm going to use this for every show or if it'll be for certain purposes, for maybe live interviews or things like that. Just still figuring out what I'm going to do with it and how it will work the best for the show. So if it sounds different, then that's why. Hopefully you will all still be able to hear me okay on the recording. And if not, let me know, and I will go back to the other one and just save this, like I said, for just for special things like live interviews, um, things like that. Just a backup microphone. It'll still be used because it is really. I do like the fact that it's hands free, as opposed to the headset that I normally use. But it's also just different because of that too. So. Thank you all for being here and listening to this, whether you're listening live or you listen to the podcast or YouTube feeds. Um, I know I had mentioned before that I might take 2 weeks off, but after a week away from the show, I decided I could not really. I did not want to wait for another week. Because I do enjoy the show, doing the show. And so, yeah, hopefully everyone has a great 2023. And again, thank you all for um, listening to the show so far, and please feel free to tell others about this show and share the links with them, and so that hopefully we can keep this going and getting bigger, and maybe start getting some listener submissions of stories, um, because that's we've had some here and there, but not 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 a lot compared to the amount of stories I find just online. So, but yeah, I think that's basically all I have to talk about here today. As far as um, before I get to the stories, other than that, the schedule is going to be the same as it has been for this last few weeks here, which is basically uh, Sunday through let me see here, it'd be Thursday at 1 a.m. Eastern. So it's basically either late Saturday night to late Wednesday night, or early Sunday to early Thursday, however you want to look at it, and depending on your time zone. Um, so, but yeah, that's the time that works best for me to do it. So, thank you all for adjusting to that when possible, and those of you that can't, no worries. I understand. So, I think with that, I can get to the stories. I have 3 of them for today. This is sort of a test episode, again, because of the new microphone. And so, yeah, we'll see how it goes. But, all right. Now I can get to the stories, and we'll go from there. Um, okay. So this first one says, so I've run into these light orbs that I cannot find a reasonable explanation for. The first time, I was at my barracks room in a military camp. I was just laying in my room with the blinds closed. It was somewhat dark, Then I noticed a random blue light orb that was blurry in the middle of the room. It slowly floated to my closet, so I followed it there. And once I followed it to the closet, I saw it go up the wall and into a corner and disappear. This was around 4 years ago. The second time was a week ago in my garage. I was cleaning my cat's litter box. It was around 11 at night. I went to my garage and turned on the light. I walked to the litter box and then was about to clean it. The light flickered a couple of times, and then the lights turned on again. While the lights were on, I saw a white blurry orb in my cat's litter box. I saw it and it slowly traveled up the wall and then it went to the ceiling and just disappeared into the corner. After that, I turned off and on my garage lights to see if it would happen again, but it didn't. What are these things? I'm not afraid of them, but there's no way it was a light projection or anything else I can explain. So this one is unique in the way that the lights seem to go up and into the corner of the room that this writer was in both times. I feel like that's a detail that I don't know. I don't feel like I've heard that in a while. Not that that's impossible or anything, obviously, but I wonder. Oddly enough, I was talking with a friend or two about this other day about the what is the deal with corners in rooms, and angles of walls and things like that. And I just happened to find this one tonight with these two experiences in two different locations. Um, and so I thought that was really amazing that this person had those two experiences. Now, the other unique thing about the second experience there was the way the lights, the actual electronic lights, um, flickered and then went back to normal, and then the person saw the light, the orb. Yes, corners. Yeah. Um, so I've never heard of that directly before either. So this was a neat story because of those two somewhat different details, versus the other stories of lights that I've heard before. Of course, probably most people have heard stories about lights in homes or buildings flickering when they also feel a presence or other things like that happening. But I feel like this is the first time I've heard of them doing that, before an orb appeared. So yeah, I don't know what to make of that, but it's. I wonder if this person is somewhat sensitive or magnet to these things, maybe. For them to have these experiences in two separate locations and 4 years apart. Um, that's there's a lot of questions about that there. I wonder if the person has something to do with those experiences, either in the energy that they give off, or again in their sensitivity, or both, or however that works. Obviously, we don't know for sure, but yeah. So neat first story there, for the show tonight. So let's see here. All right, so I think I can move on to the next story here. And all right, this one says, every so often I stay up late until around 3 a.m. I live in the deep woods, so I typically keep my curtains slightly open and window cracked for air and ambience. On a handful of occasions, I've seen a ball of light, roughly the size of a car tire, float up to my window, twinkle or pulse, then slowly shrink to nothing. During these times I chalk it up to it being my neighbor driving down the driveway next to us, which he often does at night. However, his vehicle is loud. I can hear it clearly with the window open, and much brighter coming down the driveway. I've also pondered if it might be the moon, but it moves. I don't wear my glasses at night, so it may be astigmatism or something. But again, I live in the woods, far from anything that shines a bright external light. Has anyone experienced something similar to this? It isn't a consistent visit, but maybe there's a pattern somehow. And that's where that one ends. And that's a big light. For it to be the size of a tire, a car tire, that is, I mean, really, that's huge. Compared to a lot of them, the ones that you usually hear about. That's almost, I mean, that's almost like UFO light size. How some people claim to see lights that appear to be large. That's almost like that kind of scale. But and then for it to rise up to the window, but then and then pulse or shine brighter for a minute and then fade away. Uh, I don't know with that one either. But I've never heard of one that big that wasn't somewhat in the air or didn't start in the air and just be flying around. So really neat. Again, with these lights, I think they can be so many things, and so it's hard to tell what it is when it's just a light. So, but yeah, so two light stories right in a row tonight. When I found them, I was like within minutes of each other. So and I'm glad because I do. That's probably one of my favorite things is these lights, these orbs, these whatever they are. Um, because what are they? And I think there's so many answers to what they can be. So, but uh, but yeah, so that's the first two stories. And I have one more here to go. And let me see here. This one says, I just wanted to share what my mother told me a while ago. Her and my grandmother lived in the country. She told me they always saw the UFOs in the sky out in the horizon. I never bothered to ask about these as I was a child, but my mother did tell me a story of when she was in her 20s. She said she was waiting for someone to meet her on a back road in the middle of the night. She was waiting when all of a sudden there was a saucer rising over the tree line. She said it had multicolored lights that spun around the disk object and that they were purple and green. She got in her car and drove off as fast as she could. She said it followed her for about a mile and then finally went away. I have no clue if this is real, but just wanted to share in case anyone wanted to read it. It says edit, but she said it was in her 20s, so that would have been in the 70s, and this would have been in Tennessee, and that's where that story ends. Um, Again, this whole saucer thing has always really been amazing to me because, again, of the way um, I think it was Kenneth Arnold, but the original um, when the phrase "flying saucer" was used, it was inaccurate. It was to basically a pilot describing the way the objects moved as if they were saucers skipping across water, I believe. It was the general way that these objects that he saw in the sky moved. But then the media took that phrase, flying saucers, and went with that. And then, but then after that, people would report seeing flying saucers of all different kinds. And so, really amazing that these sightings have been happening over the years. Um, and with lights or without lights, just depending on the sighting. So, just a neat story there of a personal experience passed down from through family, basically. So, yeah, just I thought that was really amazing. That kind of those stories, and I think they're important too because I don't think we always realize it. I certainly didn't realize it, and I wish I would have. In terms of talking with our relatives that are older and getting their stories of really everything in general, but just and including the paranormal and including just things that they couldn't explain. Because otherwise, eventually, as life goes on, and then people get older, eventually they're going to pass, and then you can't talk to them about those stories anymore, those experiences anymore. So, and I wish I would have thought to write everything down. Um, there were some stories that my grandma would tell once in a while about her sister's house that where there was all kinds of activity there, paranormal activity there, mainly somewhat ghost related, but still. And now I only have sort of fragments, bits and pieces of those stories in my own memory, and I know they're not the entire story. So, but yeah, so that's the last of the stories I have here. I haven't had any more experiences since the um, other than just seeing a few little flashing lights here and there. Um, one night, a couple nights ago, actually, I saw one. I had the blinds open. I was looking outside, and I saw one outside. And then, not even a couple minutes later, I saw another one inside, and another couple inside. As I was just sitting, kind of hoping for something to happen, actually. And I've started to wonder now if those lights are maybe connected to the blue orb that I've seen now 7 times outside. Um, it's hard to say. I did send out a thought basically asking, are you the blue light that I've seen outside?" And I could have swore I heard in my mind an answer, and I thought I heard yes. So, maybe, possibly, I don't know. But, yeah, so that's basically all I have for today. I have plans for the show for this year. Definitely keeping to that new schedule and as many weeks as possible, of course, and as many days as possible. There will be 1 or 2 bonus episodes per month, including one that will be doing sort of a little panel show or discussion once a month with myself and then 2 other friends, and we'll be picking a topic and just having a conversation about it, not really quoting all kinds of articles or really it's going to be the point is for it to be more of a conversation and just seeing where it goes. And that's going to be we're going to try to do once a month, and we'll have different a different pair of people every time, and so that's going to be fun. So that'll be once a month, and then of course other guest appearances and whenever possible, just one at a time as well. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this coming year here, especially now that I have a schedule locked down, and I'm kind of I've found I'm liking the podcast more than I am actually. I've kind of switched from preferring to be writing more to preferring the podcast more. So I'll still be working on books here and there, but that'll be just like once a week maybe. And but most of the time I'll be spending working on the show because I really do enjoy it. And big part of that is you all being here and so many friends I made and both here and then also over on the Trouble Minds Discord server as well. You'll hear a lot of familiar voices from that show, I'm sure, as we go through the year, as we have before. So, and thank you all for being here. I see you all there in the chat. Thank you, and Happy New Year to everybody. And I will talk to you all tomorrow. I'll be back with paranormal news on the next episode of Salcedo Paranormal. Take care, everyone.